Now back to the Bible Answer Man broadcast and your host, Hank Hanegraaff.
Thank you very much, Randy, and let's go right back to the phone calls. Next up is Angela, listening in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hi, Angela.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Hi, I have a question. I was talking to a friend of mine, and maybe I was wrong all these years, but I was just following what I was brought up on. Is it true Sabbath is on a Saturday?
Well, yes. In the Old Testament, you had a Sabbath on Saturday, but we have the day of rest on the first day of the week for a reason. It is a result of the resurrection that the emphasis with respect to the Sabbath shifted to a celebration of the rest we have through Christ who delivers us from sin and the grave, as we see in Hebrews chapter 4. And for the emerging Christian church, the most dangerous snare was a failure to recognize that Jesus was the substance that fulfilled the symbol of the Sabbath. So the Sabbath pointed forward to Jesus Christ, in whom we have our Sabbath rest. And when Christ rose from the dead, we celebrate on the first day of the week in order to celebrate that resurrection, which is the centerpiece of all of our hope as Christians.
Yes, so actually followed by Jesus Christ and God's law, he said, keep my Sabbath. That will be Saturday, from sunset Friday to sunset on Saturday, correct?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that we shouldn't insist on being slavishly bound to Old Testament law, because if we are bound to Old Testament law, then you have to keep the letter of the law. According to the Mosaic law, anyone who does any work on the Sabbath must be put to death. Right? So if you did anything on the Sabbath that could be constituted as work, you'd have to be put to death. If you lit a fire, well, just starting the engine of your car is tantamount to lighting a fire because there's something that happens that's combustible. You'd have to be put to death. So, you can get into an absurdity if you want to follow the Old Testament laws, but the reason we don't keep the civil and ceremonial laws that we find in the Old Testament is there's a fulfillment of those civil and ceremonial laws. That fulfillment is in Jesus Christ, so he is the substance that fulfills the shadow. And that's precisely what happens with respect to the emphasis in terms of the day of worship. If you look at the reasons behind the symbol of the Sabbath, you find that they change throughout the Scripture. In Genesis, for example, the Sabbath was a celebration of God's work in creation. After the Exodus, the Sabbath expanded to a celebration of God's deliverance from oppression in Egypt. And then as a result of the resurrection, the emphasis shifted once again, and it became a celebration of the rest we have through Christ who delivers us from sin and the grave. That's the point.